Thank you. All right, part 5 of Mesilat Ruth. As we mentioned before, that Ruth and Naomi came to Bethlehem on the day that Boaz's wife passed away. So the whole town was out, and they were all there at the funeral of this woman who had buried all her children. And when they saw Naomi, they just couldn't believe their eyes. Where were her beautiful clothing, her wealth, her jewelry? This is not the same Naomi that they knew. And Naomi said, "Don't call me Naomi, call me Mara, bitter." Bitter, it means that she did not become bitter. On the contrary, she recognized that Hashem had punished her, and he punished her midah keneget midah, meaning that when she left, she had her husband, she had her wealth, she had her children, she was pregnant. She came back empty. Nothing. No husband, no children, no baby, no wealth, nothing. She was empty. But she actually accepted her punishment, and she did do teshuvah. Because Ruth stayed with Naomi, Ruth would not leave her. Ruth would stay with her, and later on, when she had an opportunity to actually work in the fields and sleep in the quarters where the women workers were working, Ruth would not sleep there. She would actually walk, even though she was very tired from her hard, long day of work. She would go back home to be with Naomi, so Naomi would not be left alone. And slowly, Naomi returned to her own self. She healed slowly, and with Ruth's help, she was able to do as much chesed as she used to before her leaving Eretz Yisrael with her husband. Actually, Chachamim tell us that Naomi had the zechut of coming back from Moab. She could have died there along with her husband and her sons, but she had the zechut of coming back from Moab and bringing back with her the future mother of royalty, of Malchut, and that is Ruth. Our Chachamim tell us Hashem was waiting for two pearls to come from Moab and Ammon. From Moab was Ruth, and Ammon was Naamah. Who is Naamah, the Ammonite? Naamah was one of the wives of Shlomo HaMelech. Her son, Rechavam, is the one who became king after Shlomo. And she was also an exceptional woman who accepted the Torah, just like Ruth. Ruth also accepted the Torah in a way that is unbelievable, and that's why Hashem promised her such a great reward. Because it was not easy for Ruth to become Jewish. She had actually turned from being the Jews' enemy to being part of the enemy, and wherever she went, people did not like her because she was from Moab. Obviously, it took many years for people to actually appreciate her for who she was, because they realized how kind she was with everyone. But that took a long time, and she was lonely for a long time. That was very hard. And so in this second perek, Boaz is introduced to us as a chief judge, a tzaddik, a true leader. And Boaz was Ben Salmon. He was the son of Salmon, who was the son of Nachshon ben Aminadav, as we have mentioned that before. He was Naomi's cousin. And when Naomi and Ruth came back from Moab, Boaz was still in mourning, as we just said, And he did not go and visit her cousin who had just come. Maybe she needed help, and actually she did need help, right? But he didn't go because he was still in mourning. And so as soon as Ruth and Naomi reached Naomi's house, she still had her house, it wasn't sold. So they got there, but there was no food, there was nothing. The very next morning, Naomi taught Ruth all the halachot about picking the barley, and later on the wheat, and how to pick it, and how much to take, or what to take, was not allowed to take. And that's how Ruth went. And Ruth knew that there might be people who are going to be mean to her, who might insult her, but she didn't care. She knew that she had to get food for herself and her mother-in-law. Boaz, Chachamim tell us that Boaz was very wealthy. He was in a position to help them. So why didn't he? And the answer is that he did not offer help to them because he understood, once he found out that Ruth, and he heard, before he even saw her, he heard that Naomi had brought her daughter-in-law with her from Moab, and he heard from the people how she was working in the field and how she was helping Naomi. And so he felt that these two women really did not want to get help from their relatives. And we understand that. For Naomi, that was very embarrassing to ask for help. She had been very wealthy, now she was poor. She had left the land with her family, now she came back on her own. All this was very hard for her to handle. And asking her relatives for help, that was something that she couldn't bring herself to do. And Ruth said, "Don't worry, I'll go and I'll take care of the food for ourselves. We'll take care of ourselves." So, but Boaz found out about Ruth, and he gave her permission, as we see later on, that he greeted her, he blessed her for being so kind to her mother-in-law, and he told her, "You have permission to glean," that means to collect the barley. "You can go after my workers." And he showed her where there was water put aside for the workers. He said to her, "You can take from the water, you can take from the food that is served to the workers." And she was really able to get so much that much more than she would normally have picked. Because Boaz told his workers, "She's going to be working behind you," and he warned them twice, "Be careful, don't insult her, respect her, don't be mean to her, and she is allowed to go behind you to pick." And so he told his workers, drop more branches of the barley, forget more of the barley in the fields. So this way she will be able to get more for herself and for her mother-in-law. And that's what happened. And we see later on that when she came to Naomi, she brought so much with her. However, I would like to go back to the point here about Naomi sending Ruth to the field. Naomi realized that it wasn't easy for Ruth to go to the field. She was a stranger. She knew people would not be exactly nice to her. And she knew that for Ruth was a princess. How could she, from being a princess, going and go and collect and glean the barley? And what about those people who are not going to be so nice to her? So Naomi said to her, "I know, I understand you are lonely. I understand you're a stranger and you feel this as a stranger because people are not really being warm to you yet. But I want you to think of yourself not as a stranger, but as a as my daughter. For me, I love you just like a daughter. And that was really words that were very comforting for Ruth. She understood that her mother-in-law understood her feelings into what she was going through. And Naomi went on to say, she said, I'm only allowing you to go to the fields to glean the barley because we need it. Otherwise, we'll be starving. But otherwise, if we had the means, I would not allow you to go to the fields. This is all because of necessity. Hashem really wanted Ruth to go to Boaz's fields. She had tried going to other fields, but she did not feel comfortable there. But once she came to Boaz, there she felt all right. She felt comfortable, especially afterwards when Boaz won his workers. And she definitely was very comfortable going to the field of Boaz. Hashem did all this. He wanted to. Hashem wanted her to go to Boaz because Hashem knew that Boaz would tell his workers to be kind and to be respectful to Ruth. And that was only the beginning of Hashem's kindness for Ruth. As Hashem does not hold back good from those who walk in perfect emunah. Ruth had changed her life completely, all trusting in Hashem. Because she came to Eretz Israel, she felt like a pull to Eretz Israel. Just like when Hashem told Abraham, come, there was like a pull for Abraham. And he felt it. The Kedusha of Eretz Israel affected Abraham very much. And so here, we see here also about with Ruth that she felt a pull in Eretz Israel. She just felt she had to be there. She had to be in Eretz Israel. And the Kedusha of Eretz Israel affected Ruth very, very much. And her emunah was so strong, so Hashem wanted to reward her. So the beginning, first she was poor. From being poor, from hunger, Hashem brought her to malchut, to kingship. So we learn here a lesson in emunah, to trust in Hashem in times of tzara, of trouble. Because that is the hardest time to actually trust in Hashem. That's when we start looking for help, for who can help me, who can do this, who can do that. Yes, we should try and find help. However, that we should also ask Hashem, send your shalichim, send your messengers to help me. That is a sign of emunah. So one day Ruth came, and that was already 3 months that she had been collecting barley in the field, and she came with so much. That was the day that Boaz had seen her, and Naomi said, where have you been? In whose field were you working? What is this all? And so Ruth first gave her the food because Ruth had not finished eating her own food that Boaz had given her from the workers' lunch. So she gave her the food, and then she showed her the rest of the grains that she had ground before she came home. She told her, here is the flour of everything, and that was really a lot more than a person could have really gotten in one day. So in our next perek, we're going to learn about Naomi's plans for Ruth's future to find her a good husband. Naomi knows that Ruth is still young. She's only 40 years old, and she could be a good wife, but she also deserved a good husband. And so Naomi has a plan how to get a good husband for Ruth. So in the zehut of this learning, may Hashem bless us with beri'un, with parnasa, bracha, hatzlacha, nachat from the children, with simcha, and may we learn and perform the mitzvot with zerizut and zehirut. And may Hashem bless also us with zivugim, for those of us who need zivugim, and may we learn from Ruth how to perform the mitzvot and how to dress with tzeniut.